I think it's pretty fair to say that pretty much everyone out there wants to one day retire. Nobody really envisions themselves working until the day that they die unless it's something that they really love doing and they can't imagine doing anything else. But even then, at some point, you get too old and too tired and you just want to slow down. So most people are looking for some sort of retirement in their future. And after all, it is a big part of the American dream. Now, the traditional method in the past has been that you work at a company for 30 or 40 years, you retire, they give you a pension for life, and then you're set until you're dead. And in the meantime, you get to collect your Social Security check as well, so you get a nice fat pension plus Social Security check. Well, those days are over, and they have been over for many years now. Fast forward to the most recent 40 years, and the newer approach to retirement now is the 401k. Let me give you some very startling statistics here. That way you can really understand why retiring with the 401k can be problematic. According to personalcapital.com, people between 55 and 64 years old have an average 401k balance of $232,379, and the median balance, which is a lot more accurate of what most people have, is only $84,714 when you're literally within 10 to 2 years of retirement. Now, that is alarming in my opinion. And the traditional method that people are trying to use to retire on this is they save the money in the 401k through investing over all these years. And then the hope is by the time they get to retirement age, whatever they decide that will be, 65, 70, 72, they retire, they withdraw some of that money every single year from their 401k, simultaneously collecting a Social Security check, and hope that it's enough money to pay the bills until they die. Well, I personally think that's a horrible retirement plan. While it can work for some, if you have saved enough money and you're retired right now and you've already been doing that for a while and it's working, but anybody looking to retire in the future, say you're my age, I'm 35 years old, and you plan to use this method one day down the road, you need to watch this video and really pay attention because you're the person I'm talking to and you're the one who could be in trouble big time if you decide to follow this method. Now, here are some of my biggest concerns with this retirement method. Number one, inflation is higher than it's been in 40 years and we're just getting started. Nobody really knows if inflation will ever get back to normal or if this problem will ever get under control. So we have to always look at what's happening right now and then imagine that the same thing is going to be happening in the future. Sure, the situation could be different, but I like the strategy of plan for the worst and hope for the best. So in that scenario, we're looking at inflation continuing to rise until one day you retire. And if you're only 35 like me, you got at least 30 more years to go, maybe even 35 years. So there's a long ways to go before your potential retirement. Imagine if you're one of these people when you get to the end of the road, even if you're on the high end, and you have $250,000 saved for retirement. With the current rate of inflation, do you think that's really going to be enough to pay all of your bills for the rest of your life? Say you retire at 70 years old and you live till 90, you need that money to last you for 20 full years before you're dead. And if you live longer, you could be in even bigger trouble because who knows, by the time that time comes, scientific advancements and medical advancements could be keeping us alive longer than ever by then, and you could be in even more trouble because you're just living too long and you're out of money. What do you do then? Well, that's where investing in real estate comes in my opinion. Now, yes, I am a real estate agent, but I am also a real estate investor myself, and I truly believe that this is the best retirement plan, and let me tell you why. So what are the pros of being a real estate investor? Well, number one, you get the cash flow. So every single month, that property will pay you money for as long as you own it, unless the property is vacant, which there are going to be probably some vacancies during your ownership, but if it's well managed, it's going to be few and far between and the vacancies will be very minimal. Next is you have a higher ROI than traditional stock market investing, especially if you're trying to get cash flow from dividend stocks. those typically don't pay more than 1 to 2% at best, and they can always turn those dividend payments off at any time that they want to. It's totally up to those companies' discretion. When you own real estate, those earnings are never going to get turned off unless you decide to sell the property. Now, if you are looking to buy an investment property or just a home for yourself and you need a real estate agent, please fill out my form down in the description below, and I'd be happy to help set you up with a real estate agent in your area. I myself am a licensed agent, and it really helps the channel if you use my referral form. And one of the biggest things, especially for retirees, about owning real estate that's a huge benefit are the tax benefits. You see, real estate rental income is taxed much differently than your withdrawals on your 401k or your traditional earned income through your job. And so, since this is taxed at a lower rate, first of all, and you get a ton of deductions through depreciation and the expenses you incur to maintain that property, you could effectively be paying 0% tax on the income you're earning on your investment property. So that is a huge benefit to people who are retired, being able to collect an income that could potentially be tax-free down the road. And then of course you have future appreciation. Now we all know that the housing market does go up and it does go down, but over the long run it always goes up. You can look back as far as we've been keeping track of real estate values, and from back then until now, the home is always going to be worth more today than it was back then. When we have the housing market crashes and dips, they are temporary, and it will always come back better and stronger than it was before. At least that's what history tells us up until today in 2022. You also have the ability to leverage your investment property to buy even more investment properties. In order to buy any investment property, if you're financing, you need to put a minimum of 20% down or more. So that already gives you 20% equity from the day you own the property. Let's say you've owned this property for 5 to 10 years and now you have significantly more equity. Maybe you have 30% or 40% equity in the property now. Well, now you can actually borrow against that additional equity you've gained in the property through either a home equity line of credit or what's called a cash out refinance, and you can actually take some of that money that you've earned in appreciation and equity in the property and then go ahead and reinvest it into even more real estate, earning you even more money and continuing to multiply and grow your real estate income without too much extra effort on your behalf, because this is all being done while just having your tenants pay for your property over the years. Now, I'm not going to lie, there are some cons to being a real estate investor, and one of the biggest ones that everybody thinks about first is that it's seen as a riskier investment than investing in the stock market. But the truth is, guys, the stock market is just as risky, if not even riskier, than investing in real estate, because at least when you invest in real estate, you choose the property that you're buying. So for example, if you're just investing in a 401k and you're not an active trader buying and selling individual stocks, you don't get a whole lot of say-so of where your money is going to be invested, because your company will traditionally pick a group of investment funds that money is going to be funneled into, and you just get to kind of choose whether you want like the more risky or the less risky one, and that's about it. And you're pretty much up to the mercy, hoping that your company that chose your 401k plan for you chose the right one, and you're not going to get obliterated when the next stock market downturn comes. Another con of being a real estate investor is that it does take significantly longer to save up a big enough down payment to purchase a property, especially when you need 20% down and you're looking at today's prices, which are higher than they've ever been. But let me just assure you that even though prices are higher than ever, there are still deals out there to be had for a couple different reasons. One, rents are also higher than they've ever been, so even though the prices are higher to purchase, so are the rental prices. And two, when prices are higher, there's going to be less investors looking to make a deal because it just appears that there's less opportunity out there, which is actually true. So if you're willing to actually look for the opportunities when prices are high, you could actually potentially find a better deal than you would find when the prices are low, because when prices are too low, all the investors will come in and swoop everything up pretty much right out from under you, paying cash for everything, and you'll never even get a chance to buy those properties. Now, I know it can kind of feel like that in today's market too, but For investment properties, I would say it's a little bit different than people who are looking to get into their first home, because as a real estate investor, you're going to be looking at a different type of property or a different type of deal through a different lens than a traditional home buyer would be. So you could be looking at totally different opportunities than a regular home buyer. Now, the other con to being a real estate investor is that you're probably going to need some form of property management, which in my book is actually a plus, but some people look at it as a con because it's one extra thing to do. You need to find and hire a good property manager that can manage the property. But in my personal experience, this was one of the best decisions I ever made on one of my investment properties, because let's say if you find a good property and you live more than 30 to 45 minutes away from that property, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to want a property manager, especially if you're still working and you still have other things going on in your life. You need somebody who can be there and attend to that property pretty much 24/7 and collect the rents and deal with any potential issues that arise. And for the minimal fee of roughly 10% of your gross earnings on the property, it's a more than fair payment to make and more than fair expense to have that's going to really give you peace of mind when it comes to owning the property. So don't look at this one as a con, even though a lot of people do. Now, one of the best things about owning income producing property is that you can just accumulate 2 or 3 of these over your entire lifetime, and this can be enough to totally pay for your entire retirement before you ever even make a Social Security check or even think about touching a 401k. So let's say you even do have a 401k and you plan on collecting Social Security and you can be a real estate investor, you're going to have a much better and much more comfortable retirement that can theoretically last as long as you're going to live without any repercussions versus your buddies who are only going the 401k route and just hoping for the best. Another really important point to remember, rents always continue to go up for the most part along with appreciation of the property. So rents do sometimes take a small dip, but if you just look at any of the headlines out there on YouTube or in the news right now of what's happening with rents are higher than they've ever been, right up there with the actual real estate prices themselves. So what does this mean for you as the landlord? It means that the amount that you're able to collect on your rental investments is going to continue to go up over the years. Now, so will some of your expenses like your taxes and your insurance, but eventually one day when you get that mortgage paid off, which is hopefully close to when you get to be retired, then you're going to be able to collect a lot more in profit on that property in the future than you're able to today. And I would imagine that would be a tremendous benefit in retirement, along with the fact that as long as you own those properties, they will continue to pay you until the day you die, and they will continue to pay after you die, which is great if you have any heirs that you plan on passing that property down to. You could pass it down to a family member or someone you care about that can literally continue to receive that income even after you're gone. Now, my personal retirement plan is exactly like I laid out here in this video. I do plan on being a real estate investor for life and just accumulating more properties as I get older, and those properties will continue to pay more and more in rental income, and then by the time I get to the age where I don't feel like working anymore, it should be enough to pay for my lifestyle. And that's really the plan. I don't plan on having a 401k and investing in there and then just hoping when it's time for retirement that one day maybe I'll have enough money saved in there that I can withdraw until I'm dead. But if I don't, oh well, I don't know what to do next. I don't like that plan at all. I like the infinity money plan and the infinity appreciation plan. And that's what rental property investing can do for you, and it's why I believe that it can be the very best retirement plan ever made. The next thing you're going to want to know is, where are the mortgage interest rates going? Because this is also going to affect your ability to invest in real estate, and I have a video all about that right over here, and I'll catch you guys over there.